Hello, and welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our chat room, via our Facebook page, and of course, on Twitter. Keep it funky. Oh yeah, keep it funky. I could not pick a better intro with Gina on the show tonight than that one. I had to go to the sexy intro. Keep it funky. Everyone, welcome back. Well, welcome back to us, I guess. We are back after a 2-week gap, and it is May 2nd. May already. Every month, every show seems like we're already in a different month. But thank you, everyone, for joining us, welcoming us into your homes, on your screens, and everywhere else. As you see, Toby and I are very lucky and fortunate tonight to have a great special guest with us. Busy lady, been hard to keep up with her. But want to welcome Ms. Gina Elise joining us tonight. Thank you, Gina. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And Toby, good to see you, brother, down there in stormy Southern studio.
Yeah, it's about to get rocking here, and so, you know, I apologize if all of a sudden everything goes black, and you know, you see my skull flash, you know, like, or whatever from, you know, the cartoonish like electrocution. But no, we've definitely had some weather roll through, so if I drop, I apologize to everybody. I thought the sexy intro music was for me.
It's always for you.
Awkward. But no, like, it's great to be back. We took a week off. You were on spring break, and I was on a veteran outdoors trip, one of the most epic veteran outdoors trips we've ever done. We took 3 veterans to Panama to go after some amazing offshore fishing. It's one of the most adventurous trips we've ever done. It involved flying on planes, riding in bongo trucks, in a panga boat, sleeping literally in the immediate vicinity of howler monkeys for days, and you know, being on an isolated island. It was like pretty awesome. And you know, then living and eating what only was available, which made it super cool. So I'm glad to be back in civilization till tomorrow, where I'll again go on another one, VO extravaganza.
It's a hard life, man, but somebody's got to do it.
It is, like, people, you know, like, people don't understand the struggle.
It is.
And it's real.
It is. I know. It is. I mean, if people can imagine, you're gone, you know, from your family almost every weekend, and actually, as you say,
there's that
long weekends. It's not like you leave on Saturday morning. You typically leave on a Thursday or a Friday and come back on Monday or Tuesday, and you're not there for events and games and family events. And yes, it's awesome. I know you appreciate everyone, and you're doing it for a great cause, but it is not without some sacrifice.
No, it does wear down, but. You know, like, when I think about how busy you and I are with our different ventures, I also think about how busy other people are. We have tried to have Gina on the show since, I don't know, January?
Yeah, I think so. We've been getting blown off.
January. Yeah, we like because we like to have Gina on for the obligatory annual Gina sighting
Yeah.
on Stu and the Nun. We go back. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Like we go back. There was a picture um, of all of us. Man, I bet it was 2010 probably. Not a Walter Reed maybe.
Oh,
Or
maybe I have to look for.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was '09 even. I don't know. Like it's been like
I
decades.
think it was 10. It involved a suicidal rental car ride, if I remember right, Gina. There was a few of us packed into a car,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
someone questioned my driving abilities or something.
Well, we've been going since '06, so it could very well have been
Yep.
2010.
Wow.
The yeah, no, like way back. So it's awesome to have you here. You never cease to amaze us because you had this crazy idea. And I remember, like, for those of you, you can go back and check previous episodes on the website. Uh, Gina started out with just an idea. You were in the hotel industry, hospitality industry, and you were like on your downtime. I think you were still going to UCLA.
It was
Uh,
after I started 2 years after.
yeah, and you're like, I'm gonna do this thing, and you got after it, and here we are, a decade later, ish, right?
Oh,
Almost, right? Are we
it's
at a
well,
decade?
now 14 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you like you have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars for medical equipment, and you've put probably a million smiles on people's faces. And like when I was a little kid, I used to like go to like the McDonald's, when it came to our town, and like I had enough dollar bills for like a hamburger. They were like the old 79-cent hamburger. I didn't have the 10 extra cents for cheese, and I'd order the hamburger and a smile because on the menu it said smiles were free.
Oh,
Look at you, playa. You're working
Yeah,
it.
no, and I'd be like, "Can I get a hamburger and a smile?"
oh.
But no, like what the work that you do, and like is pretty impressive because you've taken something that's so niche and you turn it into something so mainstream, and like you're kind of like a celebrity. Like, no, you're kind of an important person sometimes.
She's on Oprah. She's on
Yeah.
Ellen, or she's
Yeah,
on
like
this. I mean,
Oprah's like,
she's.
you get a car, you get a car. Of course, Gina gets a car.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
were on lip sync battle. That
you
was
were on lips. You were on lip sync battle. Like you,
Family
you guys were
Jewels.
at the LA
yeah.
King games, getting balled up as like hero of the game. With pin up for vets on the thing. Like no big deal. Dude, she sat closer to the rink this year than you and I have. I'm just thinking if I'd been on glass this year. But I
It's
haven't.
been quite a journey, that's
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And to talk about, you mentioned the car. Gina didn't keep the car.
Nope.
It's a great testament to her selfless and her service and her
And
sacrifice.
it was a cute car.
It was a cute little car.
It was a 2012 VW Beetle.
Yeah.
So it was
Very cute car.
And
the whole thing, it's interesting. The whole thing actually happened right after I quit. So I was working in the hotel industry. And I just feel like sometimes when you follow, what you think is your purpose, some interesting things start to happen. And not long after that, like we rang the closing bell on the NASDAQ, and just
right,
like a lot of stuff started happening. And it was so hard for me at the start because I was splitting my time. I was working full time in the hotel industry, and towards the end, I was a hotel manager, and I would come home at night and then work on pinups for vets from like 10 at night to 2 in the morning, go back. Sometimes I would go out to my car at lunch and do interviews, like news interviews. So I was living this double life for 4 years, and it was really hard. But I totally understand like the struggle of any entrepreneur, because you have to do it. You have to do that to start anything up. So, so it was definitely tough. But now I feel like we're almost 14 years in. We're gonna start producing our 14th annual calendar.
Oh,
And it's crazy. I can't even believe it. And you guys know that I used to be the only model in the
Yes,
calendar.
for many years, and we were fine with that, and that was totally fine.
But then it was kind of an interesting,
number
like,
one in our hearts.
aw, it was
Lauren, it's Lauren this month, right? Yeah.
Lauren. Yeah, she's the Army. But it was kind of an interesting transformation because, as I started doing hospital visits, I started getting messages from female vets saying, "Hey, can we do this with you?" And then they started volunteering with us, and it dawned on me, like, you know what? I'd actually rather put them in the calendar. So I really took myself out. I only do one picture now, like, well, the cover and then one picture in the calendar. But I want to feature them because it's a way to start telling their stories. Images, as you guys know, are so powerful, and people want to know, like, who is she and what did she do in the military? And so it starts this whole conversation about female veterans and how they're giving back as well. And it's just very inspirational. So I feel very lucky to be surrounded by some incredible ladies.
Yeah.
Hey, so we have an incredible lady that you need to reach out to. We'll set it up here afterwards. It just hit me, like, I don't understand why Sarah Lee hasn't been in this calendar.
Yeah.
This girl rode a bicycle across America. She's like doing amazing things. Like, she has got the biggest heart. Like, she is exactly, what you're looking for.
Yeah, how did we not ever think of that, Toby? We brought so many people together.
It just came to me right now. It just came to me right now, and I feel like an idiot because, like,
yeah,
why I'm known for connecting people, and like, here's two friends that I can't believe I haven't connected yet.
But, well, yeah, please put her in touch with me. We actually have cast our 2020 calendar. We just finished casting it, but we usually put out the casting call in the spring. And we had the most amount of submissions this year. I think it was nearly 200 submissions. So it is so hard because we only have 10 spots, and we have ladies from across the country that want to be in the calendar, and we cast some pretty amazing ladies for the next edition. So
that is awesome. I want to hit on something. I'm going to give a little behind the curtains, because we've known Gina for so long. We've got a lot of background info. But one thing I want to hit on is one time Gina and I had dinner at a Thai restaurant in LA. I'll never forget it. I was out there working for something, and her and I we were able to link up, and I said, "Hey, let's grab dinner. I'm out this way." We went out and had dinner. We were sitting there, and of course, Toby, as you can imagine, like, every dude in the place was looking at me and like, "What is that dude doing with that beautiful woman at dinner?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. We're doing some Thai, some, pad Thai satay chicken." And anyways, I asked her, I said, "Gina, how long," I'll never forget this, I don't know why, because I can't remember last week. And I remember asking, I'm like, "How long do you think you're going to do this?" Like, and Gina, do you remember me? Do you remember that conversation?
I mean, Troy, people have been asking me that since like the first year.
So I don't know what you told them, but I'll never forget what you told me. You said, "While I got it, I'll be doing it as long as I can." And I was like, that's the answer. That's the right way. It was as long as I have it, I'll do it as long as I can. And it may be going on 14 years later, and Gina, you may not be on every picture, even though I think you still could. I think you still got it because, and it is awesome that you've now taken it to the height of, not only are you still in it a little bit, but you are enabling all these other women. I can't imagine the stories you've gotten from them and empowering them, probably rehabilitating them some, maybe making them feel, beautiful again, and this, and dealing with their own issues, and giving them an opportunity to model, right? For
all of the above.
Yeah.
I think it's healing for them. They form this sisterhood. The ladies that are involved with us volunteer with us. Not only, do they model on the calendar, but they're volunteering. So they come into the hospitals and they're giving back to their brothers and sisters, service after service. One of my models said, she said, I came for the service and I stayed for the sisterhood. So it's like, and something that I didn't even expect, with our volunteers, but they have formed such a tight community between each other, and they're so supportive, amongst each other. And it's sort of this thing that happened organically that I did not plan, but it's pretty amazing to see that they are coming together for a common purpose, which is to continue their service, giving back to their fellow vets.
Right. I don't know. Real quick, let me just say, I don't know if people realize this. We've known you for a long time, and a number of our listener viewers and know you. But for those that don't, Gina, it's not just you're giving these female vets a chance and all stuff, but we mentioned the hospitals a little bit ago. From day one, like year one, your main focus was trying to visit as many VA hospitals, military hospitals as possible, going there, signing being all dolled up in the pinups kind of genre clothing, and taking pictures with old vets, young vets, guys that are just out of theater that are rehabilitating, to guys that were in World War II or Korea or Vietnam. And so it's not just the, hey, you're enabling and helping out, but you have not only have you been there to visit them. I'm trying to give a quick summary of what you've done for people that maybe have never, are up to speed of what you've been doing, but you also sold the calendar. Yeah,
around 13,000.
Okay, and you've sold the calendars. You've raised over, last I knew was 50, I think, thousand.
Now it's 60, over
60,000 to buy equipment, rehabilitation equipment, and equipment for the VA hospital. So it's not just calendars. It's not just having a pretty girl hug up and kiss an old vet on the cheek. It's not just making T-shirts. You took all the profits from that and used that and gave it back to the military-run government-run hospitals that could not afford to buy equipment, rehabilitation equipment. You were investing that back into them. It's so much more than just a calendar. I just want to kind of get that for our people and bring them up to speed for the last 14 years.
Yeah, I mean, it started off, Troy, like you said, with visiting hospitals and donating money. We've expanded our initiatives. I mean, we ship tons of care packages to deployed units around the globe. We work with homeless veteran shelters, putting on events. We're doing makeovers for female vets and military wives. We just did a makeover for a Purple Heart recipient. She served 26 years in the Air Force. She was a survivor of the Khobar Towers bombing. We just did a makeover for her. Before that, we did a morale boosting makeover for a Gold Star wife, Britt Harris. So we do so many different things, for the military community, which it's something that I'm really proud of, is that the organization is sort of helping out in a lot of different creative ways.
I want to kind of rewind a second real fast, if you guys don't mind.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because I want to share a moment of jealousy. And the reason I want to share this moment of jealousy is because a lot of people don't necessarily what's going on? I got some weirdness going on my phone thing here. But all right, so when someone says thank you for your service, it always makes me feel awkward, right? Because I'm like, I got paid, I had the time of my life, I got something out of it in terms of being able to stay in this country. But when I look at someone that I really admire that served, I struggle in saying thank you. I struggle in expressing that. I struggle in finding ways to convey that and to make them know and how that has affected my life. And the reason I want to share this moment of jealousy is because I look at the pictures, I look at the video footage, I look at the different things that you do in the different domiciliaries and the different medical facilities, and I see joy. I see gratitude, I see appreciation, and we're not as a community, we don't do that as well as we should. As a community, we're like tigers that want to eat our own children. We lose ourselves that sometime, and y'all share joy. And when those female vets go in there and they get to take on this persona, they get to take on this character, they get to take on themselves, and they get to share that, they're doing this very unique thing, and I'm extremely jealous of it. Because they're able to share something these moments, these happy moments. I'm not a tap dancer, Gina, for the record, let everyone know now, she's got a little tap in her, and You know, she's got a step ball change. You don't understand. She's got a step ball change, y'all. You know, but you know, like I don't have that. You know, like I'm able to take guys out in the wood line and stuff like that. But you know, you're putting joy into someone's life at a time where so many of us cannot. And just walking in and shaking a person's hand and saying thank you, well, that seems like a lot. Like that doesn't put that joy on that face, you know, and it's not. And so many, like, I've defended you. You've gotten some hate because you're like, oh well, that's just a pretty girl, you know, and so guys are smiling at a pretty girl. No, they don't get it. That's not what the guys are smiling at. You know, like they're smiling at the fact that someone's coming in and sharing joy in their life. You know, they are in a domiciliary. They think they are financially busted. They're at a tough spot in their life. They are uh, indigent. They're in these different situations. They don't want to be there.
Mhm.
Like no one gets up in the morning and says, "I think today is the best day to move into a VA domiciliary."
Yeah.
You know, like, and you guys go in there and you change that. You change that in not just with the donation of money for equipment to improve the quality of life. You actually put joy into someone's life, and not many people can do that. And I'm very jealous of that because I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that better. And y'all like, sorry, held it. I held it.
Almost slipped it out.
I mean, there's been some.
Y'all are killing it. Y'all are knocking it out of the park. You're doing it right. You're demonstrating actual appreciation and you're sharing joy. And these female veterans, they're getting a glimpse at doing something that I can't do. Like Troy and I, we go into a domiciliary, like they call security. You know, like I try to sing and they're like, "Hey, don't quit your day job." You know, like
There's been some pretty unbelievable experiences of things that have happened, you know, on our visits. We were on a visit recently and we were in another room and this nurse comes like running up to us and she said, "Can you guys like please hurry, like hurry, like I need you in this other room." And I didn't really know what was going on. And so we all just went really quickly. And like on the way there, she said that like this veteran may be passing away. And
oh no.
so like I didn't know like when we were going in there, like if that's what was gonna happen. But I just felt like maybe like we needed to be there for him, you know,
Yeah.
if that's what was going to happen. So we walked in not knowing like if we were going to experience like this veteran dying like on us, you know, and it was like a pretty hard moment. So I just was like, okay, be strong, like, you know, you got to do this like for the family and the patient. So we all like walked in and, you know, he wasn't like really responding, but just kind of breathing heavy. And, you know, I was talking to him because I don't know like how much he could understand. But, you know, we sat there like for a while and, you know, he didn't, you know, pass away like while we were in the room, but it was a pretty intense moment, I would say, you know.
Yeah.
You just walk into these rooms sometimes and you don't know like what you're going to experience, you know.
Yeah.
And the girls were like kind of like pretty shaken up after that, you know. I was asking them like, are you guys okay? So yeah, you never know really what you're walking into some pretty intense situations, you know, some pretty intense injuries to very intense like pain, a lot of chronic pain. And so my whole thing is like I want to get people's minds off of that pain, even if it's just for a little bit, you know, just make them think about something else, you know, and bring, like you were saying, Toby, like bring some joy, you know, into their life. And you never know what that can do. You know, we walk in, we're dressed up.
It can do a lot.
You know? I'm sorry.
It can do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there was a veteran recently, you know, he told us, he's like, you guys just added years to my life. So, yeah, it's like, you never, I always, I love the phrase that time is the greatest gift that you can give because it's the one thing that you can never get back. So just giving your time to be there with people that are going through these very intense challenges. And they're intense, we are meeting veterans dealing with very intense, like PTSD, chronic pain, TBIs, amputations, sometimes multiple amputations, cancer. They could be terminally ill. They could be almost on their deathbed, like what I was just explaining. So these are some pretty intense circumstances that I'm bringing everyone into. And they go in, knowing that just we're trying to make things a little bit better and a little bit easier. If we can just ease that challenge just a little bit, I think it's worth it.
Gina, you brought up a lot there. I want to jump in real quick, and I just want people to think about this. So you could, whether you're getting brought into a room like that really quick, or you're kind of playing going from room to room. You don't know if you're going to walk in, because I've been in some of these rooms with you. Whether you're going to walk in, it's going to be a vet by themselves, and like you're the first visitor they've had. Maybe they're an older vet, maybe they're not, but they don't have they don't have any family nearby or whatever, or you're going to walk in a family full of, a room full of family, and then you're kind of an outsider coming in, a stranger coming in. So I mean, I imagine you've got to prep yourself for, and obviously, some family members could be jealous. They could be, who are you invading our personal time? Or it could be, thank God you're here. You're bringing a smile to their face. So I can, having been there with you, I've seen some of it, but even now today, trying to relay, you've seen so much more since we were together at Walter Reed that, that you could walk in so much kind of confrontational or tense, or you could walk in and just totally change the vibe in the room, and like you said, take that person's mind off it. That one gentleman's room, that one vet room. I mean, you could have been the last voice they heard or the last thing they've seen, and you probably the day you showed up there, and probably every time you go to hospital, you never think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, we recently visited the room of a female vet, and it's always like, it seems to be maybe even more special, like when the lady veterans are meeting their fellow female veterans, in the hospital, because they share that certain bond. And so the daughter actually of this woman was in the room with her mom, and she messaged me on Instagram later that day, like, Gina, you guys came to visit my mom today. You just made her day. So yeah, we do hear a lot of really nice comments, things like that. But yeah, the situations are not easy a lot of times.
Do you still get some negative comments every once in a while? I know you did early on, but is that kind of faded away?
I mean, yeah, I think for the most part, it's really, really positive. I think when people actually don't prejudge and actually look at what we're doing, and they can read the letters from the hospital, they can, see the testimonials from the girls that are volunteering with us. Because it's one thing for me to say, oh, this is really beneficial what we're doing, but it's something else for like the hospitals to say it, or for my volunteers to say it, which they do all the time. And so, yeah, I think
I would imagine if you did that, the positive feedback is drowns out anything that
it does. And we're lucky we have such amazing supporters, and so if there's ever anything that comes up, our supporters are just they know what we do, and they know the benefits of what we do, and so they're always there for us. They definitely have our back.
Before I turn it back to Toby, I want to ask one more thing. When you what is the reaction, or do you see something special when some of these female veterans that are now, models for the calendar come into maybe an older male veterans room, and they realize that they're also veterans?
That is the best moment. I love introducing the girls. I always introduce them when we come in. I'll say, hi, what's your name? And the veteran will say, and we ask what branch, and they'll say, oh, she's a veteran, and she's a veteran, and she's a veteran. And they're like, they're veterans? Yeah, they're veterans too. And then they'll talk, oh, well, where did you serve? Where did you serve? And it's like this instant bond, So it's really special, when the lady veterans get to meet like the World War II female veterans, because they paved the way for them, and so I think it's always a little bit shocking. And the girls do tell me constantly that they are not seen as a veteran because of their gender. And so I think this is really making people think twice, about that. They always tell me, like, they always get asked, oh, oh, your husband's a veteran. No, I'm the veteran. And so I think it really makes people question, they think twice about it, like, oh, okay, like women are veterans too. So, um, you know, just kind of making people question that stereotype.
Yep.
Hey, so let's we talked about it earlier, just briefly, or you mentioned it. How do you do your casting? Like, what's the process?
Yeah.
And then, like uh, the a lot of people don't think that doing these calendars is as labor intensive as it actually is. Like, I don't think they have any idea.
Oh
Anyone
my,
that's done any kind of like photo shoot,
yeah.
like a legit photo shoot, not glamour shots at the mall between 1:30 and 2:30, like you know, as an idea of what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
like, why don't you walk us through? Because I love this direction. I love what you're doing. I love the live chats, with the girls. I love seeing the stuff going to the hockey games. I love seeing this whole new movement. I think it's just spectacular. So walk us through the casting
Yeah.
process, because in one of our chat rooms, this is Facebook, we got people dropping like female veteran names.
Oh, nice.
We got like Sarah Lee in our back pocket that we're gonna get on the 2021 calendar for sure. Um, the like, walk us through the process, and then share with us that, and then like let's talk about work.
Okay, so the calendar, to produce the calendar, and the thing is, I don't often like talk about what it takes to produce something like this of the scale, but I'm very much a perfectionist, and I want to put out an amazing product every year because I want people to come back year after year. So we put out a casting notice usually in the spring, asking for ladies to submit pictures, why they want to be in the calendar, tell us about their military service. And we, like I said, we got, I think, almost 200 submissions from incredible ladies around the country, and we only have 10 spots. So we have to narrow it down, pick 10, and then we move on to the actual production. And I actually tell people it's like making a film every year. I almost go crazy like every year from doing this. And you would think it'd actually get easier, but I feel like it gets harder because we have so many people involved. But we, from location scouting, we start off with location scouting, and we have to find really awesome backgrounds. I mean, last year we shot on the Queen Mary, which was incredible. This year we're moving around. We have multiple locations. So from the casting to location scouting to getting everyone, selecting all the outfits to scheduling. I have veterans flying in from different places around the United States to like scheduling everything to make sure things line up, like with our photographer, hair and makeup artist, all the veterans, make sure that they're okay on certain days, that the location's okay on certain days. Like, it's literally like putting this gigantic 500 piece puzzle together, and it's a miracle that it actually happens every year. And that's just the production, and then we move into post, which is design and editing and all that. So the whole process takes months. It takes months to produce. I mean, it's like producing a work of art every single year. It's very intense.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
you're looking at probably 14 pictures.
Yeah.
When you look at the cover, the 12, the
Yeah.
the 12 months, and then the back cover. So to get that, you're probably this is just Toby's bad Canadian math. I don't know, like 2,400 pictures.
We usually shoot around like maybe around 50 to 100 per veteran, like per shot. We'll do around 50 to 100. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pictures to go through.
Yeah.
It's very intense, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, like, I guess I was like, I well, that I mean, that's a lot of pictures. I'm going through pictures. I took 200 pictures on a trip to Panama last week, and I've probably got 15 hours into going through them, and it's like that's too much.
Yeah. And some of the girls have never, actually, most of the girls have not modeled before. And so it's kind of a matter of like making them feel comfortable and getting like a certain feeling across in the pictures, because you want someone to look really confident, in these pictures. And so it's just kind of a matter of like coaching them as well. So yeah, I mean, it's this huge process to put the calendar together every year. But our supporters are amazing, and we have supporters that literally get the calendar year after year after year, and the calendar is one of our sources of fundraising, so we have to produce it every single year. And like I said a little bit earlier, it is really like a platform to start telling these amazing stories of the women that are featured.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Gina, have any of the women, I know that you've only been doing the other vets and stuff the last few years, but have any of them gotten an interest in modeling, and have they continued on modeling something else from this? This was like, triggered like, wow, this is really fun. I enjoyed this. I might do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, that has happened before. Because yeah, we have some ladies that have never done anything like this before, but I like to consider myself a good posing coach. I've done it long enough where I can, and posing like in the style, it's very stylized. It's not like modeling today. It's a really specific kind of posing style. And so little things like I'm looking for in the picture, like if someone's toe isn't pointed, it can like throw off the look of the picture, or if their hands are not placed a certain way. So I'm standing there, next to the photographer, like kind of coaching them, like, oh no, like move your hand a little bit this way, or like your ankle needs to be a little bit closer to the other.
Oh, you're the OCD like person on it watching everything. Oh, okay.
Because I mean, the thing is, you look at the calendar and, people like the calendar, but I think maybe they might not realize like there's so much thought that goes into it to produce.
What about the backdrop? Are the backdrops picked by the vet now that you have vets in there, or is it just, do you pick an Air Force vet to put in a plane and that kind of stuff?
I mean, sometimes, we kind of match up like the feel of the picture with the veteran. But for instance, like we shot the whole thing of 2019 on the Queen Mary. And so we were just kind of deciding like, which we had to get like around, Toby, like you were saying, like 13 or 14 different vignettes. Because we want every shot to look really different. And we also want them to be like very happy shots, because the calendars are going to be hung up in hospitals. In fact, this was such a crazy story. So we visited a VA recently, and one of the nurses emailed me like a couple of days ago. And she said, Gina, one of the veterans that I work with here, he accidentally spilled something like on your calendar. And can you send another one? And I said, oh yeah, of course. Because she said she wants to laminate it. Because I guess he always like takes it off the wall and he just like puts it down on the table and he flips through it. So he accidentally spilled something on it. So we had to ship out another one. But I like the pictures to be very like happy and colorful. A couple of people have asked me like, you should do a black and white calendar, but I don't know. Hospital rooms tend to be very like stark anyways. Yeah. And so I like having, that color, and that's why I always dress like in a lot of color and colorful flowers and everything. But this year we're moving around a lot. It's really hard to find locations where you can get like 15 different vignettes in one spot. We were really lucky, like with the Queen Mary, but we're moving all over the place. So we have about 4 shots per day. We have 3 days of shooting coming up. We start next week. So wish me luck, guys.
Yeah, that is something, and just going through all that. And then have you ever had a moment where you looked at all the photos and went, none of these work, we got to go back and redo it? Have you ever had to redo a shoot?
No, I mean, I'll look at them like after we do the set, and I look through the photographer's camera and I'll say, okay, we at least got one. We just need one solid shot. So we've never had to like redo a shot. I mean, I'm pretty good at looking at them in the lens and figuring out like, okay, we got like a couple, solid ones that we could use.
Do you use the same photographer, or do you?
the last couple, we're using the same photographer that we used for the 2019, but we've had multiple, photographers. It's kind of fun because you get their different styles and everything. So yeah.
Nice.
So I really want to give you the opportunity, to also talk about some of the people that have partnered with you on this, because I mean, you guys couldn't pull off the looks that you pull off if it wasn't for Voodoo Vixen and
Yeah.
some of these people these organizations that have like come behind you.
Oh my God. Black Rifle was one of our sponsors this year.
Yeah,
Black
I don't know. They're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw Matt just he's coming out with a book called "Thank You for My Service." I saw that.
No, like I aptly named.
Yes, that you can't. I saw that the other day. I was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Sergeant Major Vanderham there.
Yeah. So I mean, we couldn't do what we do without. We could not do what we do without our supporters. We could not do what we do without our sponsors. So I'm forever grateful to everyone that supports us because they are helping us to continue what we are doing within the military community. And if there's anyone listening, we are still accepting sponsorship for our 2020 edition. So
I'm glad you brought that up. You still have ad space available, right?
We still have ad space. So if you guys,
you see, I like this is a deliberate segment, my brother. You gotta feel my flow on these.
Yeah.
So if you guys, know of anybody that has a business or, is interested in spreading the word, like the message about what they're doing, we still do have some ad space for 2020. We're filling up, but we still do have a little bit of space. So, I'm excited about the next edition. It's going to be a good one.
Awesome. And what other press things do you have coming up? I mean, you've been on so much. You look at your website, you have a ton up there. Are there any other big?
I think like they're renaming like the American Legion, in Hollywood after her. Like, I think it's gonna become like the Gina Elise Lodge. You guys you guys are always there. Like,
yeah,
you guys
they're
are always
great.
in the news.
American Legion Hollywood is awesome. They actually named me as an honorary colonel a couple years ago, which was
snap.
Let me stand at attention.
Let me get my heels together.
So that was pretty incredible. So yeah, I'm sorry, Tim. What was the question? I forgot what you were just asking.
Oh, I did too, because like I'm at attention now. Like I'm like shit.
Yeah.
I'm like
our future media. Troy, I think you asked me like our media stuff.
Yes.
We usually it happens more like when we have the calendar, that's when it's out. Actually, Kirstie Ennis, she was on the Today Show last year talking, about what she does, and she was talking a little bit about our calendar on the Today Show, which was an amazing segment. So we'll see what happens, when this new one comes out. We were, as I mentioned, we were on Lip Sync Battle. A couple years ago, we were on people.com, which is the website for People magazine. So we've had some really awesome, media coverage lately. So it's been great. It's like a unique project that I think kind of lends itself to that.
Yeah, and you're still visiting hospitals and still trying to get those set up all the time, right? And
yeah, all the time. We are in the middle of our 50-state tour. Our last out-of-state one was in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm not exactly sure where our next one is going to be. We always need sponsors because we're located in California. So whenever we travel out of state, we always need sponsorship. Right. So if anyone's listening that is a business or an individual that would like to bring us to their state to do something special for their veterans, then please just let me know. Pinupsforvets.com. You guys can message me. So yeah,
what states are left?
We have a lot of like the middle of the country left. We haven't been to Maine, New Hampshire, or Vermont yet on the East Coast, but a lot of the middle states are left. So I have a map on our website that shows where we've never been to Ohio, haven't been yet to Kentucky or Tennessee. So hopefully soon. Yeah, never to Alaska yet.
Oh, big VA up there. Yeah. You came and we talked at the start, Toby missed you in San Antonio, and I think it was last year, the year before you came to Buffalo when I was out of town.
Yeah, Troy.
You came to like the one where you're like, hey, I'm coming to Buffalo.
I think there's a pattern.
Yeah, I think she waits. She looks and goes, they're gone.
I like your schedule.
And you were gonna try to go to Canada or something, but I don't think you could.
She like tapped into our Google Docs.
Yeah.
And like, the boys are. Oh,
I think
Perfect.
I may have been traveling to
We're going to
Texas.
Buffalo, girls.
Yeah, I think I was traveling somewhere down south.
Girls like Texas.
Yeah, I think I was in Texas or Atlanta or somewhere like that. And she's like, "I'm coming to Buffalo. We're there for 2 days. I'm in. I'm out. I'm seeing the VA." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me."
Oh yeah, I know. That was a really good visit up to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
what happens this year with sponsorship. That right now we're just kind of like focusing on. I mean, we have events going on, but right now we're kind of the big thing that we're focusing on is just getting through like these shoot dates. I mean, we usually visit the Long Beach VA during Fourth of July, which is the VA hospital here in Southern California, because they put on a big Fourth of July event. So we'll see. We visited recently a couple of different veterans homes locally here. So yeah, we'll see. Every year brings something always new and exciting things.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Gina, we've taken a lot more of your time than we planned to take tonight, and I know
Thank you for that.
Toby and I very appreciate it because you are, as we've talked about for the last 50 minutes, you are a very busy young lady, doing a lot of things, and want to appreciate you. Well, you know, you I think you wake up looking like this, so I mean, it wasn't you got up, you're just like boom, up, flowers in the hair, I'm good to go.
Oh, I wish that was the case.
Yeah.
I also wanted to thank you guys because you guys have been there since the beginning and believed in me, and it means so much to me to just have people that I can count on to have my back and that believe in what we're doing. So I want to thank both of you because you guys have been there from the start.
Well, thank you. It's been awesome to watch you on this journey. I mean, Toby and I are both involved with a lot of organizations, a lot of troop supporting organizations, and some do a couple good things for a few years, and then different things cause them to stop. But you have kept it strong, and if anything else, you run faster, which is no one is tiring of this. That's for sure. And I know you stretch yourself thin. You really push yourself hard. I hope you continue to take some time for yourself because. Nothing is guaranteed tomorrow, but of course you're doing a lot for everyone else. But it's been great being your friend all this time. I know Toby and I both feel that.
For sure.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. I got to go to the Stinking Rose with her. I didn't get Thai food.
I did. I think I did too. She put a clove of garlic on my head.
And my girl took me turtle racing.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Dude, I had a better night. Yeah, that was like Kyle House. Like we had the dream team out that night. Like we went and watched turtle racing. Yeah, it was amazing.
I think I went to a birthday dinner. We went to dinner at the Stinking Rose, and it was my birthday. And I think Gina went and told him, and they put this big clove of garlic on my head. It was like this big hat.
That picture, right?
Yes, it was very embarrassing. But I have one more thing. I can say this, and don't take it the wrong way. But I have been in Gina's house, and I've seen her inner workings, her and Leah and all that kind of stuff, and been trusted to be there. So there, I got that. I didn't race a turtle though. But anyways, yes. Gina, it's been great. Thank you so much. You are such an awesome friend and lady and patriot, and we love continuing to watch what you do. And anytime you want to come back on, you got so much going on. I know, we're not Ellen or Oprah. We're not throwing out cars, but we're throwing out mad props. So
thank you.
So
yeah, and anytime like those angry haters like have something to say, you send them right here.
Yeah,
because I have no problem like reminding someone that the only reason they don't like what you're doing is because they're jealous that they can't do it, and what they're doing is inadequate. Because that's all it is their own personal insecurities. Anytime they say that, so I love supporting you. I love standing behind you, and keep after it. And I can't wait to see 2020. And then we're going to get you some girls for 2021.
Yep.
2021.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, Gina, before I go, someone did text into our text line. They made a comment. They were curious if you've ever had a booth at the National VFW convention. They said it may be a very good fit for you, something for you to do.
Yes, so, we haven't yet, but that sounds awesome.
It may be something to look into.
A sponsorship opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right. Well, thank you so much, Gina. Thank you for joining us, and great seeing you. And stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, everyone. Here we go. Oh, wow. Check that out, the video. I got Toby on 2 screens. That is...
That's 2 screens of your life, my man.
That is some wicked technology going on there. That's what happens when you drop somebody. All right, so let me do a little editing here. Toby, we've got a little bit left. I know there's a couple topics we wanted to talk about. We want to transition to. While I fix some of this, I'll let you kind of open up what you would like to cover and talk about tonight, real quick.
Man, I just saw myself there and on the screen
Twice.
and yeah, with my nose cut in half. It was spectacular. But no, a couple of different things I want to talk about. We're going to talk about a case here in a few moments, but before we get to that case, I just want to like bring people's attention to Ranger Hatley. When I was a young private in Bravo Company 1-5 Cavalry, the 1st Cavalry Division, I was a young, impressionable guy wanting to do great things.
Hold on. Black Knights.
Black Knights.
I gotta say it.
Loyalty and courage.
Yeah.
No, there were some NCOs. I'd probably one of the best platoon sergeants a young private could have at that moment in time in terms of mechanized. And there were a few NCOs throughout the battalion that stood out. And one of the guys that stood out, his name was, Staff Sergeant Hatley. And Staff Sergeant Hatley became an Audie Murphy member. I learned about the Audie Murphy program as a result of seeing him achieve and seeing what it did in his career and in his life. And he was tabbed and very much the epitome of what you wanted to be as an infantry squad leader. He was that guy. He is currently serving life without possibility in Leavenworth, and he's doing it on the testimony of a scorned CID informant that got busted for smuggling drugs into theater. There's no physical evidence, there's no forensic evidence, and there's no evidence of any crime being committed, yet he has been convicted of a war crime to which, again, no physical, no forensic, or any scientific evidence has been levied against him other than the word of a guy that sold his testimony to stay out of jail himself because he's a drug dealing piece of shit. And, like, if you get the opportunity, go to freerangerhatley.com, sign the petition, and let's, start getting some of these guys that in the previous administration got locked up for some BS out, because they're American heroes. They were doing their job, and this system is busted. We got a fantastic Navy SEAL going through it right now for killing an ISIS soldier, and I don't understand why anyone would want to incarcerate someone for killing anybody that, like, enslaved women, executed, anyone in the LBGT community. As a father, as the relative to people in that community, as a father to children, especially girls, like, not enough ISIS can die. We make the joke, that there's only a dead snake's a good snake. There's some good snakes out there. There's no good ISIS.
No, not at all.
They can all die. So I'm going to let you take into the next one, but I wanted to start with that. And if you get the opportunity, freerangerhatley.com. You can find it on Facebook. And Hatley, Hatley, Hatley. And the dude's needs. We need the administration's help with this case.
Yep. Yeah, that's where we got to raise it up to, because things happen when you get to that level. Need Duncan Hunter on it. So it kind of transitioned right into the one I want to talk about. I put a post up today on the Stu and the Nunn page, and it's about a Navy SEAL, not the one you were talking about earlier, which has been in the news a little bit lately because the president didn't get involved in that. But Navy SEAL Keith Berry. And the reason why this came out today is he finally spoke up. So he was charged with rape. He was a Navy SEAL, lifelong Navy SEAL, was charged with rape, and the Navy came after him. and the JAG, he went in, got convicted. Apparently, some shoddy evidence. Went up for appeal twice, both times shot down, and he finally, it took a low-level officer that overheard the top Navy JAG, which was a vice admiral, rear admiral, something, talking to the command, the admiral in his chain of command, and pretty much. The admirals, told the JAG, you need to change. You need to not let this, because the JAG was going, hey, this doesn't smell right. I don't think the evidence is there. This guy may have been innocent, and his commander put undue command influence, which is something that happens, and they're usually concerned about in the military. And he put undue command influence, and it went all the way up to the president at the time, because there was so much heat from one of the worst senators in the history of our country, and she's also from this state, like many bad politicians are, Kristen Gillibrand. She was so hot and heavy on sexual assault in the military, made it such a topic that the Navy was actually worried about the image they would get if they overturned this case, and include the president was such on President Obama at the time. There was so much influence from that standpoint that the PR was worried about more so than this guy being possibly innocent, and then his command putting pressure on the top JAG lawyer that they did not allow his case the appeal to go through, and it took a low-level officer who heard the conversation to be a whistleblower and come out and say this just isn't right. His conscience got the best of him, and he said, I heard this. I heard these two admirals talking. He probably was in the JAG office or something. I don't know if he was part of the JAG. I get the impression he was, and he came forward and brought that to the point where it got enough attention that they went, and the two admirals were now retired, and they talked to the JAG officer, the former top JAG of the Navy, and his conscience finally got the best of him, and he wrote a full statement and said, hey, I was undue command pressure. I was pushed to do this. I didn't think he was guilty, but that's the reason. And I was worried about the Navy's image and all this other excuses and crap. Anyways, fast forward to he got released. It all got thrown out. It all got. He did his time. Was out. Was going to register as a sex offender. Couldn't get a job. As he said, he couldn't even drive for Uber. Couldn't do anything. Here he had 8 or 9 deployments to Iraq. Did all this stuff. And it took that for the court of the Armed Forces Court of Appeals to throw everything out, expunge his record, and toss it all out because of the undue command influence. And now he's come forward, he's talking about it because it's something you and I have known about before, Toby. It's a common known thing in the military that you are guilty until you're proven innocent. The military justice system is not like the rest of the civilian justice system, where you're supposedly innocent until proven guilty. It is you're guilty as soon as someone accuses you of something, until you prove yourself innocent. Whether it's a trainee, whether it's a spouse, no matter what it is, a fellow soldier, whatever. So he's out there now trying to highlight this to try to get this to change. That's a big battle. He's been through a lot, but that's a big battle because that is ingrained into the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And there's no presumption of innocence absolutely at all, and you know that as well as I do. But it is thank God he did get released, and really it was a blessing this junior person came forward, because had he not, the guy would never, his name would be cleared, and he would be looked at as a rapist and a sex offender and a sex predator the rest of his life. So it goes to show you that there are wrongful convictions. There are wrongful things. And just because someone serves in the military as a JAG or as a soldier or as a whatever, does not make them above the law or innocent or whatever. We're all fallible, right? We all make mistakes, but it is a serious problem.
No, and what's heartbreaking about this and several other cases is it's an overzealous investigator, or the bias of the personal bias of an investigator that changes the outcome of these cases. That the weight, the trust that is given is within the system. Like, not just, personally, but the trust that's given institutionally is to the investigator, not to the defendant. Where in the U.S. Criminal Code, the trust is given to the defendant, the accused, first. And when you have this, like, my whole goal is to prove how you did it, how you're guilty. You're you're not being objective to any of the facts. If you have this predetermined because a commander told you you need to investigate this guy because I think this, well, you're every human being that is conscious. If you look for something, you will find it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't make it real. That doesn't make it true. But if you someone tells you like, hey, I think Troy's sexist, for instance, like you're gonna look at something that Troy's done, and because in your mind you have this thing like I'm looking to see if he does it in a sexist way, of course you're gonna find him do something sexist. That doesn't mean he's actually sexist. That just means you perceive something that he did to be sexist. There's a difference between perception and conviction. Like there's a difference between bias and guilt. And this is a horrible case, but an example that has kind of turned out well, that they've gone past the person that's investigating to find the truth. Now, it's frustrating. I spoke about Ranger Hatley, and in the thing that upsets me the most about Ranger Hatley is honestly, I don't care if he did what he's accused of or not. At least give him due process.
Right.
Every citizen of the United States is afforded due process except the military.
Who fight and defend those rights for you to have the due process.
And it's like this is a constitutional right that a service member does not get under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And that should be a Supreme Court issue. Like, and that's my opinion. Unfortunately, the Uniform Code of Military Justice doesn't fall under the Supreme Court.
Right.
There's a direct line from the military, the UCMJ, to the commander-in-chief. And when you have a military-hating administration, yeah, I said it, like the previous administration did not enjoy the military. They weren't even covert about how they went about screwing the military over.
Right.
Like when you have that, you can expect justice. If you're accused of any crime as a citizen of the United States, you should be afforded your constitutional rights. And we need to bridge that gap somehow, where I appreciate the fact that the Uniform Code of Military Justice has its own system per se for certain things. I like how the fact that if a guy doesn't show up for work on time for 10 times, like you can capture his attention by digging into his wallet with a financial penalization. You can capture his attention by penalizing his personal time. I think that's fair. But I think some of these things are antiquated. I think diminished rations, where a commander's like, hey, you're a jackass, Snuffy, so I'm going to let you only eat bread and water for 2 weeks because, like, I have that ability. The guy that issues, like, diminished rations of, water and bread only, like, that's the dude that got beat up in the shower room at some academy somewhere. All right, let's keep it real. Like, that's the dude that's not mature enough to be in a leadership position. Like, this isn't, Robinson Crusoe where we need to, like, do that. These systems are archaic and antiquated. We need to bridge the gap between the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the American Criminal Civil Code, and we need to provide a fair opportunity for recourse to the accused. Like, this Navy SEAL got exonerated and he got his record clear, Unfortunately, anyone that knows him will always look at him. And I'm going to share a little vignette. So sometimes the UCMJ works, but when I was a staff sergeant in the Tomahawks, a soldier, a mortarman, an 11 Charlie, such as yourself, got accused of stabbing a fellow 11 Charlie. He never denied the fact that he stabbed the dude. He actually cut him up quite nice with a Gerber. For those of you unfamiliar, it's a great rubber-handled blade that is quite sturdy and can do great damage. And it was issued in a very bad sheath. But this young private cut up this other private with a Gerber gator, and they thought it was over, like some drunken thing. They go to court, and it comes out that the guy that got stabbed was not the actual victim. He was the perpetrator because he was trying to facilitate a male-on-male rape. And while he was trying to do the sexual assault, the younger, smaller 11 Charlie decided that he had a little more fight in him, found that Gerber gator on his nightstand, and went to work and defended himself. And then, as an effort to flee the scene, jumped out of his barracks room 3 stories up. Now, anyone that's lived on a post knows, that's a dynamic exit. That's a dynamic.
You're not
exit.
usually going to walk away from that. Even an airborne paratrooper would not. That's a bit higher in PLF levels there.
That's a PLF is not helping that fall, my dude. But the system went through and found that he was not the perpetrator. He was actually the victim. Now, that's because a fair system was put in front. An unbiased leadership was put in front to seek the answers.
Right.
When you have a system that's rigged from the leadership to start, it starts the narrative. It starts the plan. It's like, how do we cover our ass? And we have, you got the Leavenworth 11 that are quite famous, for, being incarcerated under the last administration. You have, this Navy SEAL that's going through it right now, and I apologize. I should know his name, Eric.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the one that was been in isolation that the president had to get involved with. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the president gets involved, and the leadership still screw him over. The leadership still find a way to, handle this, and to inflict their power, if you will, down on it. And that's just an absolute lack of maturity. That's a lack of justice. That's a lack of moral compass. And I'm glad that this guy's taking on this fight. I think he's the right guy to do it. He's got an eagle and a trident. He's earned his way.
Yeah.
He has the validity and the voice to do it. And, he was wrongfully convicted by a system. And, he's not going about it in spite. He's going about it, out of care and concern for the next guy. And I appreciate that. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of thing. Great interview with Gina, of course, tonight. But the other thing was, we both knew we had a topic to talk about. It is kind of where they were sort of related. And that was the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and where it doesn't always, sometimes it comes out okay, like you talked about, and sometimes it doesn't. But interesting. I'll have to tell you a story. I got one related to your 11 Charlie one there. It dealt with 19 Delta Cav Scouts, but we'll have to talk about some other time. But very, very similar story in situation. This didn't involve a knife, involved a baseball bat. But anyways, with that, everyone, thank you. We're gone for last week. We're back now. A little over an hour. It is May 2nd. And you invited us into your ears and homes and screens, and we really, really appreciate that. And we really appreciate Enlisted 9 Fight Company being our sponsor. We didn't get a chance to mention this stuff. And thank Colton and the guys over there doing great things. And appreciate that. And Gina coming on and giving us some of her time. It's been a while. We have been working with her to get her caught up and get her on the show, but she has been very, very busy. So we were very glad to get her on tonight. So everyone, thanks. Keep tuning in next Tuesday or next Thursday, Thursday at 8 o'clock. I can't remember what day it is. 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on Stu and the Nunn. Want to thank everyone for joining in. Keep up with us on our Facebook pages. Throw us some chats up there. Ask questions. Do whatever. We want to stay involved with you. Keep an eye on our blog. And Toby, you got anything else?
No, that is it for me. Appreciate everybody, and as always, thanks to all our support, uh, and we will see you next week.
Yep, that's it. Next week.
That's it.
All right, everybody have a good night. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nunn Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenunn.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook Live. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a